So the 100 actually ended on its own terms. It didn't get canceled. There wasn't anything on a cliffhanger. We'll talk about the ending in a little bit. Apparently, there might be a prequel in the future. It was a successful show. There's two main reasons why I watched it. But either than that, maybe I can convince you guys to give it a shot because you see, the first seasons are actually really good. It starts to go meh by season 4, I would say, and the last season is like the writers decided to go on crack. I mean, I don't know what they were smoking, but like the last season, we're going to get into it in a bit. Why do I like it? Okay, if you watch the trailer for the initial season, it seems like some teenage drama. It seems like it's one of those common, TV shows where there's a lot of drama between the teenagers. Turns out it wasn't like that. It was very interesting, almost like Lost. And I'm talking about the first season only. Let me explain what I mean by this. So, the story seems to be that there is a nuclear apocalypse on Earth. The nukes went flying, the Earth became uninhabitable, and the only people that managed to survive did so on a spaceship called the Ark. Now, on the Ark, because the resources were limited and things started breaking down as people didn't account for using it for a long while, they became very harsh and authoritarian. Any crime whatsoever, if you are an adult, they would execute you for it in order to reduce population. The kids, they were given a little bit of a leeway. Like, there was a prison for children and teenagers. But if you are an adult and you did anything, any violation whatsoever, you'd have been executed. So a very harsh place. And turns out that there's a little bit of a political intrigue because one person finds out that the arc systems were dying, the ventilation system, meaning that there would be no more oxygen. And even with the way and the manner they're reducing population, it will still not be enough. So what they do is they decide to try and send 100 children on Earth to see if the Earth is inhabitable or not. So, they go on Earth, and it turns out that the Earth is inhabitable, and there's part of some teenage rebellion against the adults by the kids not wanting to let the adults know that they can survive on Earth. Basically, like, the kids wanted to just live by themselves. It's like a Lord of the Flies thing in the beginning. But then they find out that the Earth is also inhabited by savages. They call them grounders, people that use spear and a bow to hunt. And whenever they stray out too far, the savage tribes end up killing the kids. So it's very bloody, it's gritty, right? It's kind of cool. And as, like I mentioned before, like in Lost, there's a lot of mysteries that take place in the first season. There's a lot of things that you don't know. So, for example, one of the mysteries, like, who are these grounders? Why are they attacking the teenagers? And unlike Lost, the answer to the questions that the TV show poses are actually really well made. So, again, in the first season, after they decide to break off any contact with the Ark in order not to let the adults know that the kids are on Earth, they realize their mistake, and they come around. It's like, well, these savage tribes, they're killing us. Like, we need the adults. We need their weapons and their technology in order to help us. So they try launching a couple of flares into space. They launch a couple of rockets into space in order to let the adults know. And in the meantime, the tribes get even more aggressive. It goes to all-out war. The kids almost get eliminated by the tribes. And then you find out, why are the tribes so aggressive? Well, when the kids landed, the members of the tribe said, all right, well, we're just going to allow them to have their territory, and they're not going to interfere with the kids. But the kids were going to the territory of a different faction. Now, this faction will be explained more in season 2, but they're like these Fallout, high-tech people that you really need to leave alone. Like, the more you bother them, the more aggressive they become. So the grounders actually, by killing the kids that were going towards this faction, they ensured the safety of the entire valley. Just, like, do not interact with these people. The second reason that they were attacking the kids is because when they launched the flares into the atmosphere to contact the Ark, The flares went all the way up, and what goes up needs to come down, and they completely bombarded and decimated one of these savages' villages. So they viewed that as a declaration of war, and they thought that the kids are hostile. You know, it's really nice, like, when you watch. And again, like, the first season, I consider it to be one of the best TV shows that I have watched. Season 2, yeah, a little bit, you know, it starts to go. Season 3 was kind of okay. And then season 4 and 5 is just absolute nonsense. Well, what I kind of liked from it, it's like a lot of people say, okay, well, the TV show is woke because it's got, like, gay people in it. I kind of don't see it like that because, again, like, the whole thing was population control in outer space, right? So being gay was probably very encouraged by society. You know, it was a cultural phenomenon. It's like, okay, well, a gay person doesn't have kids, and therefore, you know, it's going to help with the population control. So I kind of see why they would live in a society where experimenting and, you know, having gay relationships is actually encouraged rather than suppressed. I do kind of hate the whole angry chica thing where, you know, every woman has to become Xena, warrior princess, because that's the only way progressives know how to make strong women. But in a way, like Clark, the main character, in the beginning, she's not like that. Like, it's only by the last season when they're throwing everything, including the shark, to jump over it, that she also becomes a fighter. But up until then, it's like, no, like, she's got men protecting her. She gets protected by other people constantly. Anyway, you know, like, again, like, this is what I want you to get in your head. Season 1 is excellent, okay? Season 2 is also good. Season 3, it starts to wobble a little bit, and 4 and 5, you can only watch if you want them. The thing that I hated the most, though, was the ending, right? So if you want to watch, skip this part. But, like, the ending was just so bad because they started focusing on the spiritual and the supernatural. You know, it's like, oh, I don't really like that. I mean, look, if it's a sci-fi movie, just give me spaceships, aliens, and stuff like that. Don't give me this bullshit with ascending and, you know, the humanities test and whatnot. Oh, come on. You know, that was just such garbage. And, you know, they pretty much, like, killed the entire continuity. Like, there is nothing more you can do in the 100 universe because it's over. You know, like, okay, they ascended, that's it. So I really don't like that. I don't like the ending at all. And it's like, oh yeah, well, these people came back and they can't have kids, but they came back for Clark, and yeah. And also, towards the end, there were so many nobodies on the screen with their little people problem. I mean, I literally didn't know who most of the cast was. And not even like that half Asian dude that was the kid from those two that was on the spaceship when everyone went in cryo. Why did they even make that character? Like, he was so boring. I mean, I get it in a way because you get writer's block. You know, you kind of have to one-up the previous season until, like, okay, you destroyed the Earth, what now? Oh, we're going to this alien planet. You know, what's next? And you run out of ideas. Like, I get that, but if a show becomes like Old Yeller, just put it down. Don't continue the agony. Like, the last season, I think this show could have done without. You know, it's not a bad season, but it's a mech season, and the entire show was really good. Why end it on a mech note? You know, why can't you end it on a high note? If it would have stopped at season 3 or 4, I think this would have been the show that I would recommend to everyone. But yeah, you know, it's still interesting. Like, there's a lot of things that hold you on the edge of the seat. And unlike Lost, when the show poses a question, the answer is actually a satisfactory one. And you know, like, a lot of the characters, they were really strong in acting and pushing the story along. So yeah, I kind of like it, you know. But hey, if you got like, here's my point. Okay, this is what I want you to understand. If you want Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, you're not going to get it. Okay, but if you're bored and you want to watch something new, you want to watch a nice pair of Canadian titties running around, this is the show for you. You know, and it's not just the titties. It's also, like, it's legitimately entertaining. I'm really curious if anyone would listen to me and give it a shot. Tell me what you think. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the comments section. Take care.